that's right. You know they coming through and hitting heavy. It's time to talk some Dynasty and talk some Debbie. My guys is never shook. Time to sit down and let the Degens cook. Ow!
That's a lot of LSU love. I'm here for it.
Oh, yeah. Bigz is in here, and he's just going for it, baby. I love it. We got Big's dog on here. We got Grindberg down below. What's up, guys? How we doing?
Excellent.
Doing awesome, man. Excellent. Great night. Yeah. Thanks for having us on.
I appreciate you joining us, man. MadDog, how you doing up there?
Good, boys. Happy to be here.
We got 2 Canadians on the pod, man. And Bigz, where are you from? Are you from Oakland?
NorCal. I'm about 60 miles north of Oakland.
So are you a big Oakland A's fan?
No.
You used to go to the old Coliseum?
Yes.
At all?
Yeah.
Oh, that place
for both wild. A's and Raiders games. I was a Raiders season ticket holder.
I had no idea that you could bring your own cooler in there for A's games. I went in there. I was there like 5 years ago. And there's like a dust bowl that has vendors, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like there's like food trucks. And you bring your cooler. There's no alcohol sales out there. So you bring your own beer. You sit there in a I don't know, it's just like a dirt pile, and you drink your beer, and then you can bring the cooler in to the game, which is incredible. Yeah.
I haven't been to an A's game in a long time, but I remember going to Giants games at Candlestick with my dad and him bringing an ice chest, and those were days.
You can just bring out, they'd wheel one in, man. You could just drink as many as you want. There's no governor on that, baby. All right. So today we are talking wide receivers. We're talking about rookie wide receivers. We're going to compare them to last year's class, talk about their value, talk about how they're going to rise up and what we see for them in the NFL. Obviously, this is all prediction. We have no idea where they're landing and whatnot, but this is gonna be a fun little practice, and you know we'll get an idea of how these guys are going to land as far as the rookie drafts go. Before I start, tell me a little bit about you guys. How did you get with the Undroppables, and tell everybody you guys are on the same shows in different networks. Did you guys know each other before you started doing this? Are you buddies, or was it just like you just follow each other around now?
You want me to go, Grindberg?
Yeah. Why don't you start it off, and then I'll kind of just add.
You want me to tell them about our meet cute? So Grindberg and I started working for a website, writing Dynasty content, and there was a small podcast arm. And I knew that as much as I love writing, I like podcasting more. I wanted to do that, so I wanted to find an in. Found an in with this website. We were doing these kind of face-off. Dynasty face-offs, basically. You pick a player, I pick a player, and we like go head to head on who's better and whatever. So I had a couple people on, and then I was doing my own thing on this other channel, on my channel, where I was just interviewing content creators and stuff, people in the space. I invited Mike to come on. We hit it off right away. And then we did another show, and then he came on my show, and we were like, let's keep working together. So we continued to work together. We developed a dual show for that same platform that has evolved into the Fantasy Forecast over on Fantasy Sports Advice Network. And then I was looking to get into writing some Debbie stuff. So I reached out to the Undroppables. I had one of them on my show, said, hey, talk to Chalk, founder of the Undroppables, tell him that you found a Debbie writer, because that seems to be a space that's not represented on your website. Still isn't, even after all 3 of my articles. But anyway, so he brought me onto Undroppables, and he was we were talking about doing the uncovered thing. There was a failed go at having a channel that had 32 separate content creators, one for each team. Somebody famous kind of torpedoed that. It all fell apart. Grindberg was part of that. And I said, well, Grindberg, like we know the bones, and Chalk was willing to kind of support that. So we started creating the Uncovered series. I took on the Raiders. He took on the Chiefs. We brought in a whole bunch of other team-specific creators. And then just continued with the whole Undroppables crew, creating content for them. And then our Dynasty show that we started through Bradley Stalder from Player Profiler. Shout out Bradley. And we knew the Undroppables guys, and they said, why don't you migrate your show over to our channel too? So it was dropping on both of those channels, and then FSAN picked it up as a primary. So it premieres on Fantasy Sports Advice Network, and then the next day it gets dropped on the other platforms. And we've been working together for almost 2 years now, and everything's good.
Everything's good. I love it, man. You got to wear matching tuxedos wherever you go. And have you guys gotten together in person yet? Or has this just been a...
Yeah, we got to hang out a lot at the expo last year. And we've got plans for the expo this year. Like the Pulse crew, 5 deep, squatted up in matching tracksuits and Pulse t-shirts, showing up to George's. Let's go.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Hide your kids, hide your wife, man. They're coming. I love it.
Especially your wives, not necessarily your kids.
Yeah. Grindberg, so I saw that you have this thing pinned on your profile that you were the winner of the listener league on Football Guys.
Yeah.
And is that how you kind of got introduced to content? Was that your, like, you jumping in moment?
Well, it could kind of help me, like, plateau my career in content creation and help me get to the next level. I was already doing some stuff with Bigz at the time, but I was invited into the listener league for the Football Guys back in 2023. I listened to the show. I was a big supporter of the brand for a long time, and then Dave reached out to me and invited me in, and then him and Alfredo started the league up, and ended up winning year 1, and they invited me on the show, and I had a full hour and a half on the show with the boys. So it was a pretty big experience and a really great, platform to start growing your name and your brand out there. And then that turned into some other opportunities like the Undroppables. I'm a pretty senior level director for the Fantasy Sports Advice Network now. So we're a growing platform, and we're starting to really get some steam in the industry, and we're new on the scene, but we're 2 years in, and we're making some names, and we're getting some top end creators, working for us. So look for us there. Both our shows, Bigz and I shows, are on there, and then we also do a lot of work for PlayerProfiler too. So we can't, we can't dismiss, the platform that got us here as well. That's airing your show here. We worked up on the news desk as well, and we do primetime news shows, and we help out a lot on the news desk with blurbs and stuff like that. So yeah, find our work.
Thursday night tailgate, pregame show for Thursday night football.
Yeah, you guys are all over the place, man. I used to be pretty tight with Football Guys. I'm close with Jeff. Jeff's going to be on the show next week, and had Kluge on 2 days ago too, and all these guys. Jeff, who doesn't talk to me anymore? Kevin doesn't talk to me anymore though, because I made fun of his Peeps stuff that he does. He does a Peeps post every year, and he left one of my Dynasty leagues.
Manhood, man.
No, it was a big blowout over Peeps, man. Dane knows all about it. He left one of my leagues. He left my Discord. It was chaos over Peeps, man. Easter time brings the worst out of that man, I think. So
interesting.
Yeah. I won't elaborate more.
Microwave?
I have actually, yeah.
Torture him.
Oh, get him. All right, let's kick it off though. All right, so of this rookie class, let's just start this right now. Do you guys see any 1,000-yard wide receiver in this class? First year? How many do you guys see, Grindberg? How many wide receivers in this class do you think are going to hit 1,000 yards the rookie year?
I'm thinking maybe two, probably at this stage. I think it's going to be tough. I like Ibuka this year quite a bit. I have him ranked as my number 1 wide receiver in this class for insulation purposes. I think for Dynasty, when we're talking Dynasty, I think he's got the safest floor, the most direct path to a wide receiver 1 in year 1, I think, depending on some of the landing spots. So I like him. And then potentially where one of these other guys lands, we'll have to really see, but I think another one for sure, potentially a third guy, depending on the landing spot and draft capital, right? If these guys get a good, situation right away to start, there's some teams in need of a wide receiver 1. There's teams in need of a wide receiver 2. So we'll have to see, but I think 2, potentially pushing 3.
Yeah. What are you thinking over there, Bigz?
I got
I feel-
5 and a 1,000-yard receiving running back in this class.
Oh baby. Oh baby.
I'm kidding.
I love that.
Lan Larison, 1,000 yards receiving at running back. No,
Oh baby.
no, I don't know if I necessarily see a 1,000-yard receiver. I'm sure it's possible. I don't think it goes over one. There are 5 guys that I like and say that there's no that there is a path for them to do it, but I don't know. Tet might get the reps. I like the talent of Trey Harris and Jaden Higgins to do it. I think Luther Burden, if things fall right for him, he has the opportunity to. And then I go Ibuka, and I think that's about it. But I missed on Brian Thomas Jr. last year, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm with you, Grindberg. I think Ibuka definitely has the best skill set to just go in and produce immediately. As far as his route tree is probably the best of the class. He's got that elite footwork and is just crisp and just precise. Like his game is very by the book, like I think he just would translate very well without a lot of transition there. Burden, I'm with you. He could in the right system, like you have him in an open zone scheme where he's just like working out of the slot and then able to go out, and then he's just a good weapon on all facets of the game. They just have to operate and push him out the right way, I think. But Dane, how do you feel? I know that you're a big Ibuka guy. Is there anybody else that you think could probably just jump in and produce immediately?
I think it depends on what happens with Travis Hunter. I think if he comes out and gets the snaps that he needs on offense, I think that he can show his elite talent as a wide receiver and probably hit those numbers.
I agree. I think he's a guy that even if he gets if he's down in the 60 to 70 reception range, I still think he can hit the 1,000 yards.
Yeah, and it's sounding like more and more like he might be leaning towards, getting a wide receiver role with the way that the draft is looking like it's shaking out. I mean, there's a lot of steam with Sanders maybe getting, top 2 pick, and that would push, Hunter and Carter, down the board to, either the Patriots or the Giants. And both of those teams could really use Hunter in that type of role. So that is, evolving right now. So I like your call there, MadDog, about the Travis Hunter situation. That'd be my third guy that I would maybe think getting in there, and depending where Tet hits, and then maybe another variable. That's why I said the 2 to 3 range there.
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting if Hunter lands on the Giants. Does that change the trajectory of Malik Neighbors for you guys, or does that improve it? How are you feeling about that?
I like it. We've seen quite a few teams that can support dual 1,000-yard receivers, and depending on the quarterback situation, I mean, you have Jameis or Russ. I think they are capable quarterbacks of doing that. Malik Neighbors and Travis Hunter with Wandale and Theo running some interference underneath. I think both of those guys could see it.
Man, in a perfect society, we would have Jameis throwing to these guys, right? And that would be, we would see maybe 3 1,000-yard wide receivers somehow just with that guy a full season.
That could happen halfway through the year, right? There's nothing, they got Russ. They could invest in a quarterback here too, in the second or third round if they do decide to go Hunter, if he slips to them. So there is opportunity there for like a, draft and develop kind of scenario where they got 2 kind of veteran quarterbacks that could really take these guys to the next level if they do decide to bring in a rookie and develop them. So Jameis Winston could be a guy that, Russ is going to be maybe on a short string like he has been in the past. And Winston could be a guy. So you never
imagine McCord learning behind those guys for 2 years.
I would love it. I know McCord's your quarterback 3 in the class, correct? I think
it depends. I tweeted out today a thought experiment I had this morning that I posed to Chev. If it's week 1 and you have a $10,000 bet on your team and your quarterback pulls an Aaron Rodgers and blows his Achilles on play 1, and they have to airdrop in one of the rookie quarterbacks, who would you rather it be? And my point was that as far as NFL readiness, I think that Will Howard and Kyle McCord are ahead of Shedeur Sanders. That was the whole reason that I was doing that. But I don't know if I'd have them ranked higher as far as potential outcomes for 2025. But if I had to win a game, I think I would take those two guys over Shedeur right now.
It's bold.
Yeah, it's bold. I mean, if there's all right, so if Shedeur's going 2 overall, and then we're talking about McCord going 2nd round, and you're met with I don't know if you're ever going to be met with that decision. Yeah, say you're looking at both these guys.
I'm sitting at the 203, and Dart and Ward are gone, and I'm looking at Shedeur and McCord, and Shedeur has the 102 draft capital. I'm taking Shedeur every time.
Yeah. All right, cool. So it's not a heavy stance that you have. It's more you think that it's possible that these guys would hit, but you're not going to be like, I'm standing on business and taking them over Shedeur.
Right.
So
kind of like what I saw from Caleb last year was he was going to need some time to develop. He wasn't going to be a plug and play like Jaden Daniels. I feel like there are 4 or 5 quarterbacks who have given the Jordan Love treatment 3 or 4 years down the road could be very, very effective mid-tier quarterbacks in the NFL. I don't think the high-end talent is there.
I agree. I think most of this class outside of Cam, I think Shedeur could use a year. I think they all could use a year at least. I mean, I like Cam's skill set. I think he's somewhat pro ready, but I think that if anybody that could be pro ready still is going to benefit from a year behind a guy, even if it's just an Aaron Rodgers or somebody, like just seeing how they go about the game and how they prepare. And maybe Rodgers isn't the best example of that because he's out, listening to how whales fart before games and stuff or whatever he does game to game. But
I mean, he's from NorCal. That's what we do here.
Yeah. Just like start the day off with whale farts and smushed kombucha with lion's mane mushrooms and such. And
oh my God, you're hitting me where I live.
I know, man. I know. It's like I'm in your head, brother. All right, let's play a little this or that. Who would you rather? And then go into their profiles a little bit. I think I'm going to skip. I had Luther Burden and Emeka. I think we're all picking Emeka there at this point. I think there was a little part of X that would probably take Luther Burden over Emeka, but I don't think any of us are in that boat right now. So
2 years ago,
let's start.
It would have been.
Oh yeah. I mean, even at the start of last year, that is exactly, he's coming off of a monster year. Burden was, and Emeka was injured. I mean, he revived he was staying in the draft class because there was no way he was going to be graded out as a high-end wide receiver in that class. So, yeah, I mean, it's, you could say Brady Cook effect or anything like that. I mean, I'm not out on Burden at all, but I think Emeka is definitely the safer bet if you're going to be met at the 107, 108 with these two guys. What about Matthew Golden or Trey Harris? Grindberg, I'm going to go with you.
Okay.
Which way are you going with these two guys?
This is pretty close for me, but I have, Trey Harris as my wide receiver 4 and Golden as my wide receiver 6. Harris just stands out a little bit more efficient and more consistent. And for me, he's a safer bet long-term. 2024, impressive stats, 5.94 yards per route run, which is considered it's incredible. You know what I mean? Like it's a number that is just outlandish, 2.9 yards per route run throughout his whole career in college, 6'3", 210. I think he's got the physical tools to excel. His ability to make contested catches and win in man coverage is impressive. He earned a 94.4 PFF grade, which is awesome. For Matthew Golden, I think he's a dynamic player. His stats and film, to me, they raise a little bit concern. 1.67 yards per route run, not the greatest. He doesn't separate as good. His efficiency and his opportunities, not there. Although he did impress at the combine, he has big play potential. I just think he's more suited for a specific role in the NFL rather than being a guy that is going to be relied upon as a target hog or a guy that's going to command targets at a high rate. So with the 5.94 yards per route run, career 2.99, I really like that metric for Trey Harris. And I think he's got the more upside to be a guy that's going to be relied upon more so as a guy that's just going to fit into a scheme properly. Matthew Golden's going to be a great NFL player, in my opinion, and he's going to probably garner first round draft capital at this stage, which is going to, raise his draft capital in rookie drafts and stuff like that. So that's why I'm more on top of Trey Harris. I like his price. Is going to be better, more economical, but also I like his outcome more so as well long term in the NFL.
What about you, Biggs? You going Golden or Harris?
I'm Harris all the way. He's my wide receiver one. He's my favorite wide receiver in the class. I'm an analytics guy. I tend to look at charts and nerd stuff rather than. I do watch film and I watch games, but mostly it's an eye test thing. It's not really like diving into the film study. His yards per route run, which is one of the more corollary stats for wide receivers, yards per route run versus man, he was number one in the class and off the chart, just historically good. His yards per route run against zone coverage was 5th in the class. So it's not like he takes a big step back with his zone runs. You saw a situation like Ladd McConkey last year where his yards per route run against zone was great. He took a step back with his yards per route run against man. Trey Harris, the opposite, but he's still competitive. He's still within the top 5 wide receivers of the class against zone. So he's going to be able to win regardless of what kind of defense he's going up against. Like Grindberg said, his size and athleticism is great for the NFL. And he's got the experience. He had a ton of targets throughout his college career. And I like, there's less to dislike for me than there is with some of the other guys in the class. I would probably go with Trey at number 1, Amika at number 2, as far as their talent level is concerned. That said, I like Luther Burden and Ted McMillan. It's just, I think that we're limited in what we've been able to see as far as their route trees. And so you can go one of 2 ways. It can either be Brian Thomas Jr. or Treylon Burks. And we don't know which one they're going to go once they get to a full NFL route tree. So I think those guys are safer. That doesn't mean that their ceiling is necessarily as high. I just like them better.
Yeah, I'm with you. But Dane, how you feeling on these 2 guys? You going Harris?
I'm feeling the same. I'm jumping on board with you guys and taking Harris. Everything that you guys pointed out, just a big physical receiver that, he finished with a 35.8 college dominator rating. Yards per route run for his career in college was a 3. I really like this big solid receiver that can do more than just go up and get contested catches.
Yeah, I'm with it. I actually just broke down his entire profile 2 days ago, so I'm putting that out tomorrow. But yeah, he's a physical monster. You want to target this guy in your rookie drafts just because of the fact that he has that physical skill. He's gifted as far as his body type, the way that he plays, his catch radius, everything that he has. And not to mention, he's a good route runner. He's a good blocker. He has all these skills that you want to look for as far as the guy that's going to be on the field. I think the first thing that you need to look at is, do they want this guy on the field? Even taking away the catching and the ability there, is he going to be able to protect the quarterbacks? Is he going to be able to protect these guys? Like, is he going to be able to do anything in pass pro and stuff like that? And then if they have that, then you can go outside, and he does have a limited route tree, but you have to look at their quarterback, Jackson Dart. And I'm not saying anything bad about Jackson Dart, but I think that they had to limit his movement on the field to cater to Jackson Dart's ability, especially in that system. And you want to get the ball in the hands of your best player, but we're talking about a home run hitter. That's exactly what he is. Where I think Golden could probably be a decent floor. You want to go for that super high ceiling, and I think that's Trey Harris. I don't see a massively high ceiling with Golden. He's got a fairly, I'm not going to say bad analytical profile, but it's tough to look at. And we don't know what he would have done this year if Bond didn't really just completely become non-existent. He had the nagging injuries, but he really wasn't anything that he was profiled as from his year before that. So Yeah, I got to go. Yeah, go ahead.
The question is, what does Trey Harris do if Ewers is the Mississippi State quarterback this year, and what does Golden do if it's Jackson Dart?
That's a good question, and I think you are going to probably see Trey Harris work in a different fashion as far as the way that he is operated. But I think he's still. I'm not saying that yours is completely useless as a quarterback. I think that he has some good traits, and I think that he could operate. He sees the field okay. But I think you would see a different value system, but you could also look at Harris and say that he's improved his numbers year to year, and that's going from a different team. You know, he played for Louisiana State to start his collegiate career, and he produced the same numbers. I think he's stayed in the 900-yard range. He hit the 1,000-yard range this year in 8 games. You know, he masked Golden's production in 8 games this year. So it's like, I don't know. You see him in 2 different zones and 2 different systems with 2 different coaching trees, and he just feels like you can't even point the finger at the quarterback in that point. You know, it's just he is producing no matter what.
The reason for the question is I think he bails Ewers out of a lot more than Golden and Bond were able to do, and makes Ewers a better quarterback. I feel like it's more of a parallel move with Golden, where he doesn't really affect the level of play of Jackson Dart very much.
We got an important question right here. So we got Z in the chat. He's asking, how do you play fantasy football? Yeah, I can't help you, brother. I don't know. I'm not.
Start with Fast Draft. If you like to draft and you want to draft faster with Fast Draft. That's Fast Draft at fastdraft.app.
And we're off.
Rookie. It's all about rookie talk in fantasy football right now. So why not go use all that knowledge to do something other than a mock draft? Chris Cimino won $8,000 with just 2 teams last year, and each draft took 5 minutes. That's pretty good ROI. You can start doing rookie drafts for money today on Fast Draft. The Origins tournament is live. It is the place to go and monetize your knowledge of rookies, and use your favorite Player Profiler host promo code for a $25 deposit match. Now let's go start drafting faster.
Use code
Bigz.
DEGEN.
What's your favorite code, Bigz?
DEGEN, DEGEN.
Oh, that's nice, man. You can plug your own code, though. It's okay.
My code is Booth, BOOTH, and you can use that if you want. Or you could split the difference, use DGen on Fast Draft, and then when you go do your Player Profiler subscription, use Booth, BOOTH.
Yes. Yeah, there we go, baby. All right, I got another one. I'm going to change these up, though. I think I had Jaden Higgins, but I'm going Jalen Noel. So Jalen Noel's gotten a lot of hype on the timeline. I don't know if you guys have seen him. I've been hyping him a lot, but in general, I think he's been boosting up the rookie boards for a lot of guys. Have you gotten into his profile at all, Grindberg? I'll talk to you first.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. I mean, quite a bit, actually. I mean, he's my wide receiver 6 right now in this class. I have him just behind Higgins. So if are we talking about Higgins or Noel? Like, are we comparing those 2 guys?
I mean, let's talk about them first. Yeah, let's talk. And then let's get into Noel a little deeper, but let's start off with, go ahead.
How about this? The question was posed on Twitter today. Who do you like better out of Higgins or Noel? So why don't we do that?
Yeah,
sure.
Let's do it.
I'm down. I mean, for me, I like Higgins better, just slightly. Just as his profile for me, he's a versatile, capable, excelling inside and outside, great physical traits, 6'4", 217. He's can dominate in contested catches situations, got a great wingspan, almost 80 inches, strong hands, availability in tight windows is great, pretty good. Anything over 2 for yards per route run is good. He's got a great one, 2.66, showing his high efficiency and playmaking ability. I think he's got a well-rounded skill set, and I think he's going to be the ideal fit for a team seeking a dependable and dynamic wide receiver. I do like Jalen Noel too, but just for different reasons. Obviously, 80 receptions. No, wait, that was Jalen Noel, 80 receptions, decent floor, combination, good stats. Safer long-term bet, I think, but I just like the upside of Higgins and the more downfield threat he could be at this stage. What are your thoughts, Biggs?
So I found these guys. One of the things that I do when I'm playing Devy is I look for quarterbacks who are given starting spots as underclassmen, and I stumbled into Rocco Becht in all of my Devy leagues, quarterback at Iowa State, because he became the starter as a freshman. That becomes for me somebody to keep an eye on. So I start watching games and I see Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel shine. And so I went down to the Senior Bowl and I had Jaden Higgins as one of my players to watch. He was one of the players that I was going to focus on, and he did not disappoint me whatsoever. He's big at 6'3", 215. He's fast. He was one of the more athletic wide receivers at the combine. The first thing that I saw him do was take a boundary catch and twist his body in the air to turn and make the catch with his hands out. And I was like, that's exactly like the body motion in the air while he's airborne, plus the placement where he had his hands at the catch point. Those were elite to me. Of course, that was without a defender. I was in the practice reps. But then he starts going into the drills, and he's going up against cornerbacks, senior cornerbacks with experience, with 4 years in NCAA, and he's burning them off the line with footwork, getting around them and getting down the field. You saw it in the Senior Bowl game where he got so far in front of the cornerback, he outran the pass, had to turn around, block out the cornerback, and then fall down with the ball. The way that he knows what he needs to do to get to the catch point and be the guy who's got his hands on the ball first, were elite. He goes into slot routes against linebackers, makes the linebackers fall over. He was making catches in every area of the field, and he was doing it a bunch of different ways. I absolutely came away loving him. Jalen Noel, he kind of popped in my eyes as a route runner. He was getting separation on guys, absolutely like fooling them and getting that 2 to 3 yards of separation you need when he makes his cuts. I have him comped to peak Hunter Renfrow. As a Raiders fan, I got to watch Hunter Renfrow when he had his best season, which I think was a wide receiver 11 finish. He had over 1,000 yards. I feel like that's the mid-level for Jalen Noel. I think he's that type of route runner, but he's far more athletic than Renfrow. I do think that Jaden Higgins does more on the field than Jalen Noel will be asked to do in the NFL. So for that reason, I have Jaden Higgins ranked above Jalen Noel, but Noel is my wide receiver 5.
Yeah, I'm with it, but Noel has a lot more to his game than just the route running. He's got a good jet, and he can release pretty well. He had, don't quote me on this, but I believe he had 8 catches for over 50 yards this past season. I think somebody fast checked me on that. I think it's 8 touchdowns for over 50 yards. He set a record for Iowa State, I believe it was last year or the year before. I think it was last year, actually. He has that ability, that home run. He plays out of the slot primarily. I think it is Higgins. I think you just have to tap Higgins over him right now just because of the size. And you're right. He does have those elite traits, and Noel would have to be in the right spot, in the right situation. I think Higgins could probably slide anywhere and still produce. MadDog, how do you feel about these two guys?
Before I get into these two guys, that was the stat that you had when you were talking with Shane Says on the rookie profiler with Jalen Noel. But damn, you guys are making me want to go and watch more Higgins tape and kind of work on my process, because you guys are kind of selling me on this. I really like Jalen Noel with his route running. I like that burst that he has, and I think he has good IQ. From what I saw, I like Higgins as an athlete, but I think, the route running was kind of a bit of a concern for me. I think that he tends to use his physicality more than he does on his ability to get open and attack defenders on all levels of the field.
And you know what? Noel could have a more insulated spot too. Like he said, he plays a slot, and there's a lot of teams in need of that position, and they're easier to fill. So I think that Noel, in the right situation, getting the right landing spot, could easily outperform Higgins this year. Just like why I like Egbuka, because he's got that safe floor, and he could easily get into a lineup right away, and he's got that chance to play the outside as well. He's primarily in the slot, but he can line up there. And like you said there, Nerd Boy, like couple, what do you say, 8 plays with over 50 yards. That's pretty remarkable. So he's got some yak ability as well. So yeah, like keep an eye on him, and we got him within our top 6 or 7 wide receivers, so they're not far off here.
They're 4 and 5 for me.
And 5 and 6 for me.
Yeah. I think they're back to back in my rankings, and this could all flip upside down, and it's like I said, it's a fun process to go through, and there's a reason why we do this. I think you're probably gonna value these guys a little more in your rookie drafts, and you have this process, and people are always like, why do you rank these guys beforehand? And man, if you're ranking on skill and not just landing spot and the situation that they fall into, you're more likely to get the guys like Brian Thomas Jr. and Ladd McConkey and target these guys when other people are jumping up and grabbing the ones that landed in perfect landing spots. I think Malik Neighbors got faded quite a bit, actually. Landing in
some of us.
Giants, not by a lot of people, but I got him as the 104, 105 in a few leagues.
That's so awesome.
Yep.
I wish I played with. So you said something about could all flip upside. Some people who watch The Good Place might call it Jeremy Bearimy. Some people who play fantasy football might say it went Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah. I mean, it is fun. And I think all my leagues are pretty sharp. Most of the leagues I'm in, I don't know, people just have a bad taste with Danny Dimes in their mouth. People are like, okay, he's not going to produce an elite wide receiver. And I think everyone was drooling over MHJ going with Kyler. I think that's really between that and the quarterbacks, he got pushed back quite a bit. But there's another one I want to do, but I think we're going to skip right over it, and we're going to go right to redrafting this class. So we're going to take the last year's class, so 24 rookies, and then combine them with 25 rookies, and then see if there's a range where you're going to take, is Ted McMillan everybody's wide receiver one in this class outside of Hunter, or is there an Egbuka guy or anybody that has a little variance there?
I got Egbuka as my number 1.
He's got Egbuka. I have Harris.
Oh, baby.
I still have Ted as my 1.
Very fluid.
Now,
I mean, Hunter's going to change up and I think slide into the 1 for most of us, if that's the case, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, so here's the thing with Tet and Luther Burden. So I missed on Brian Thomas Jr. last year, and it was simply because of his usage at LSU. I did not anticipate him being able to do as many things as he was asked to do at Jacksonville. He was not asked to do as much at LSU. Is that going to be the case with McMillan? I saw a tweet today that said that somebody watched a whole lot of McMillan film and they saw him on deep routes and crossers, and he was really good. And then on the other things that he was asked to do, he didn't film out so well. Burden, we know, is closer to the line of scrimmage guy, but that doesn't mean that he can't win if he's asked to do other things. So are we going to miss on those two guys because we're applying the same thing that we did to Brian Thomas Jr., or are we going to rank them too high because we're trying not to miss on Brian Thomas Jr.? And so I think that's where I'm at before the draft, is looking at those two guys as potentially being 1-2 in the class, less Travis Hunter, or could they start to slip because we don't know that they can do all those things that they would be asked to do, like Brian Thomas Jr. succeeded at. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that McMillan has the most complete profile of any rookie for me. But that is not stating a lot. I think he was in maybe the best possible situation, like you alluded to. And, we're not talking about Brady Cook throwing the ball or, Emeka Ibuka dealing with, significant injuries throughout most of his career outside of his, junior and senior year. He was definitely a little banged up there, but there's a lot of outside factors that are going in there. Ted McMillan feels like it's prospect fatigue for a lot of people. I just think that there's this guy that seems like he's a safe guy in the class, and people are looking at any reason to fade him at this point. But there's not a clear-cut one in this class for me. It is 1A, 1B. I think you could probably slide anybody, and that's it's maybe a good thing and a bad thing. It's hard, but when you have these guys this close, it's not I must draft this guy. It's like, okay, I'm fine missing on this guy because I got a couple others that are right behind him.
That's why you always draft in tiers.
Yep.
And I don't mean crying because you got sniped.
There you go.
So it's all right. I'll start with you, Grindberg. So Emeka Ibuka is your one in this class, and we are looking at a fairly stacked class from last year that includes Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., Lad McConkey, MHJ, and then who else we got in there? We got
Dunze, Worthy, Pearsall.
Yeah. Okay. Where would you take Emeka in that class? I'm assuming you're not gonna slide him above Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., or Marvin Harrison Jr.
No, another. I wouldn't. Maybe Marv. I don't know. I'm still skeptical about Marv with Kyler. He didn't perform well last year. With the Trey McBride contract too, it's really showing their skin. I don't think Kyler can see down the field as much, and I think he's relying on the short intermediate routes where they're relying on Trey McBride. So I'm a little lenient there. For sure, I would take Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., Lad McConkey. I'm thinking even Roma Dunze, and then Marvin Harrison, and then I would probably end up taking Ibuka at that stage.
Oh, baby. So you have Rome over Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Yes. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a little spicy. That's a spicy thing.
It is. Yeah.
Grindberg, can you say process?
Process.
Holy shit. He says process, Dane. How come you can't say process correctly?
I could say process. What are you talking about?
Oh, what the hell, dude?
Who was talking about boots?
Who says process? Do you say process when you're in the thick of things, Grindberg? When you're like, really,
you know what? I've been hanging out online with Americans for like 2 years straight. I've developed quite the accent, and it's almost a hybrid now because I spend a lot of time in showrooms, and so it's I've developed a couple of things. I've even transferred over to calling it the Falcons, believe it or not. I don't even call it the Falcons anymore. It's crazy. My kids football team are the Falcons, and I get jammed on them because now I'm
sprained your cheeks.
Oh, I'm sure there's some flare ups still.
Yeah, MadDog, I don't ever want you to say process, Dane. I think I'm good with the process. I don't ever.
You have to fix my grammar. You have to fix my speech. What else? What else?
No, I'm not changing anything about you, man. I like the way
I say
are.
process just to make up for Grindberg.
Maybe I'll start saying it just because I want to make you feel comfortable over here.
Yeah, hop on.
All right, so you're gonna take him behind Odunze, MHJ. Okay, Biggs, and you got your guy over there. Where are you going to take him in this class?
Tet?
That is no. Your guy is
Trey Harris.
Trey Harris.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sliding MHJ back between McConkey and Odunze, and I'm taking Trey Harris just ahead.
Okay. And Dane, you're still going Tet? Where would you comfortably take Tet if this class was combined?
So I would be taking Tet as my wide receiver 5 last year. I would put him behind Marv and ahead of Worthy, actually. And I have Odunze behind Worthy. I think for Marv and Odunze, it's kind of both that they were maybe misutilized. I think Marv was almost that sacrificial X receiver last year where he was always trying to get his targets from high difficulty throws. But when he was able to be used in digs and crossers, he showed that he could separate and he could succeed in the middle of the field. So I think that's kind of what the Cardinals have to be able to use him as, rather than just a stretch the field type player.
But they have McBride, so they don't.
They do have McBride.
Are they going to do that though? I mean, that's the glaring question. You know, they tried to do it a lot last year, and when they happened, it was successful. But you know, they ultra targeted McBride, and them giving him that contract is making me think that they're going to be their centerpiece moving forward. If they can get a discount on having to pay a big time wide receiver, you know, that's what the Chiefs did. You know, that's kind of the model that some of these guys are going now when they have this prolific tight end, and you know, that could be the path for, you know, Biggs' Raiders too, with Brock Bowers.
And that was kind of the worrying thing about Arizona was the catchable ball rates that McBride saw versus what Marvin Harrison Jr. saw. It was like 80% to 50%. And so that sounds to me like it's a route tree and Kyler Murray problem. And McBride's not going to have that problem. So, you know, he's going to get up there in the 90 to 100 catches. And I don't see that yet with MHA. I want to, but I just can't have any confidence with him as long as Kyler's the quarterback.
Yeah, I think it is a big time confidence thing with Marvin Harrison Jr. I think we're looking at a guy that, you know, is so used to being the gem of the team and the guy that's always producing, and it has probably done that without a significant workload, and it just naturally just is, he's schemed into that system already. Kyler looks like he's got worse vision than he's ever had before, and I don't know if he's shrinking. What age do you start shrinking?
And now they're talking about writing him more too. So what does that mean for the passing game as well? So are they going to really, you know, put their small little quarterback in danger like that? You know, what happened in the past when Kyler ran, you know, he's susceptible to injuries. You know, he's missed a lot of time based off of that. And it's something that I'm worried about. And that directly ties into Marvin Harrison Jr. So there's a lot of red flags for me, and I would rather go for an insulated value. Even Rome Odunze in this stage, to me, seems like a safer bet with the way that the Bears are building their offense. You know, Ben Johnson going there as a new offensive coordinator. They have great draft capital to be able to bring in a running back to really solidify that 1-2 punch with DeAndre Swift. I'm really looking at the Bears coming in here. I don't see Keenan Allen being a part of that team, and DJ Moore and Rome Odunze is the future there. And I see Rome with that prolific, you know, profile that he had last year. You know, I think, you know, the Caleb Williams situation is going to develop even more, and I think he's going to really tie into a receiver here this year. And year 3, I'm really looking for big things from Rome Odunze. I think this year 2 is going to be a stepping stone, and then year 3 is he's really going to turn into that elite wide receiver that he profiled as.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And as far as Ted McMillan goes, where would you guys have him? Let's just give a general value question for this guy. In this class, plus 24, where's Ted McMillan going if he came out last year?
He's over Worthy.
Yeah.
So he's going to be behind Odunze, Ladd McConkey, and then slide in right before.
Yeah,
that feels right.
Yeah, I'd say that too. And you know what? I'm not like super down on Ted, and I think he's going to rise up in my rankings with a better when I know his draft capital and stuff. But as far as his profile goes, I'm a little bit worried about some stuff, and I like the insulated floor with some of the guys I have ranked just ahead of him. And I'm going to take a punch on Travis Hunter, and I have him ranked, you know, as a wide receiver right now because I'm somewhat expecting it, and I'll change my tune. I'll do the opposite of what the market's doing right now. I'll change my tune when he gets landed, and then I'll adjust my ranks at that stage. But right now I have him in there because that's where he would fall. Essentially, he's not my number one yet because it's a little bit bold knowing that. But once he gets landed, I'll adjust that a little bit more.
Yeah, for giggles though, let's just talk about Hunter a little bit right now, and you know, I think that you have to have the question, if he goes full wide receiver, he lands on the Patriots and they're going to build this little nucleus of Drake May and Travis Hunter. You might want to be tapping him in the range of Brian Thomas Jr., right?
Yeah,
Like,
I would slide
it feel
MHJ
good.
back behind McConkey, and then I would put Hunter after BTJ before Ladd.
Yeah, I would.
So you would go Hunter over Ladd? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I missed. Yeah.
Yeah, if I knew he was 100% wide receiver and that's his game, for sure. Yeah, I think that just the profile, the upside, he's got that elite prospect profile, in my opinion. He's got the right size and all the ability there, and I think he's smart. He understands how to defend against the defender that he's playing against. So I think that, you know, being a cornerback really helps him separate as well. So it's only going to be more progression. If he could be a full-time wide receiver, man, I'd be all over him for sure.
And if you play in an IDP league, go ahead and trade any one of those guys plus for Hunter for the 101, and then take Hunter.
Yeah, might be the most productive IDP guy to ever touch that platform.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I need Hunter to go at least 70%, because I think it was last month I traded Jonathan Taylor straight up for Hunter in a Devy league, just standing on business. And, you know, at that point I figured you're going to be trading an aging running back for possibly, you know, a lottery ticket. But if he goes all defense, this is going to look really bad.
Well, that's why landing spot is going to make so much of a difference. So if he goes to a team that has 3 wide receivers already and they have a need at cornerback, they're less likely. I mean, he doesn't really have any control over who picks him, right? So say he goes to like a Cincinnati and they want to use him in the defensive backfield more than they want to use him on offense. That's not a great situation. Say he goes to the Raiders. The Raiders need an X receiver. They also need help at cornerback. He can split time and succeed on both sides of the ball. If he goes to another team that doesn't have any wide receivers at all, but they have a good pass defense, he's going to play a majority wide receiver. So it just, a lot of it depends on where he goes and what their situation is.
Yep, I'm with it. Let's just go right over to your guys though. And if you've done any rookie drafts yet, or I know you're in some Devy leagues, Bigz. Do you play any Devy, Grindberg? Are you into that
I got one
section of Dynasty.
I got one Devy league, and I got noosed last year on a trade that
We
Big
don't need
doesn't
to
let
talk
me.
about it.
Yeah, we won't talk about it, but I'm learning the Devy situation. But yeah.
Wait, I know. I was actually on the pod
Yeah.
I knew all about that trade. I know everything about it.
Yeah,
I'm not going to talk about it, but yeah, I mean, you got to get. They're teaching you the right way. They're just going to beat you up and throw you down the stairs a little bit.
Yeah,
And then they're
exactly.
going to pick you up and feed you a fluff nutter sandwich and tell you're a good guy. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's all about getting that exposure, and you got to do it at some point. And I'm learning the Devy side of it a bit, and it's a great way. It's a fun, free league, and sometimes you make the bad trade, and that's where you make your mistakes and learn from it and become analysts in Dynasty, right? So we'll get there.
yeah, I think that's it. Everyone makes mistakes. Analysts make mistakes. Everybody in that range makes mistakes. It's more about, does it refine your process or does it make you bitter? And
You did the right thing. You did exactly the right thing.
At the right time.
You play for the chip. That's it.
Sure. Yeah. Did you win some money at least? You probably won some money, a little bit.
Well, it was for back-to-back. It was for back-to-back championships. So I ended up losing in, I think, the finals to get to there. So it didn't end up panning out, but it was a trade that, I lost a running back headed into the playoffs, and my team was first overall. I got a first round bye and coming off a championship, and this was a C2C league. So it goes from one end to the other. So, and it's a bunch of sharp guys. So you want to try and, if you could create a dynasty in a dynasty league, I'm all for that trade at the time. And it didn't end up panning out in the long term, but, I'm still a champion. And I still finished second and, rebuild for next year.
Nice. I love it, man. All right. To kick it off, to end it. So let's talk about guys that you have in your bag, whether you're playing Devi or you're C2C and you've been following these guys for a while now, and you're not talking about them for a reason because you think you're probably going to get them later in drafts and you don't want to talk about them a lot. Some guys I don't make a lot of content about because I'm like, I really don't want you to know about them. But let's talk about some wide receivers in this deep running back class that might slide all the way back to the 4th round, like deep rookie drafts might have 5th rounds, even go into the 6th if you're in a Devi rookie draft or anything like that. But who are these guys that you're going to tap? Everyone's like, don't go for wide receivers late, but there's definitely going to be some gems with this class. So who's a deep sleeper for you, Grindberg, that you feel good about taking in the 4th round as far as a wide receiver goes?
Well, I was going to talk about Kyle Williams, but he's been kind of going off the charts right now, and he's not so much of a uncut gem here. So he's not going in the 4th round anymore. So I'll talk about Ty Felton, who's, I'm targeting drafts in the later rounds, 6'2", 181, and not so, heavy, but he's got some remarkable growth and resilience throughout his college career. Despite a slow start with injuries in high school and stuff, he steadily improved each season. 1,100 yards, 9 touchdowns last year. He led his team in major categories in receiving, 96 receptions as well. It showed his target hog potential. He was targeted 143 times, and he's the first player in Maryland history to start the season with 4 consecutive 100-yard games. He's got 4.3 speed, elite time speed. It just allows him to, take the top off of defenses. So he's a guy that's kind of going late, and I'm not kind of sleeping on, and he's a guy I'm just going to try and, take a stab at because of that speed and his ability to earn targets. So, in a class that's kind of weak for the most part, I'm going to try and get him in those later rounds.
Yeah, I love Ty Felton. I think that's somebody that I've been trying to scoop everywhere. I think I got him off the wire in a couple of leagues already at that point. But Biggs, who's the guy that you want to tap super late in the draft?
So I'm going to go even deeper, and I'm going with Arkansas wide receiver Isaac Tesla.
Oh, dang.
I like big-bodied wide receivers. He's 6'4", 214 pounds. Didn't have a whole lot of production. His production score, according to the NFL, was 49th in the class, but his athleticism score was 1st in the class. And not many people know who he is. He ran out of the slot for the most part at Arkansas, but the problem with Arkansas was that Jalen Green was their quarterback, and he is not ready to be a passing quarterback yet. So Tesla wasn't working with the best. He wasn't in the best situation. He goes to the combine and absolutely blows people away with his athleticism. But I did a show with John Lobb, and John Lobb dove into some of the catching metrics and some of the catchable balls that Isaac Tesla was making. His catch rate is absolutely nuts. So if there's going to be a scouting department that thinks that they know more than anybody else, and they're going to be willing to take a chance on this guy as a 5th rounder or a 6th rounder, I'm absolutely piling him up on Fast Draft. I'm grabbing him. My home league goes 5 rounds. I'm taking him in the 5th round in that league. If there's the potential for somebody to absolutely destroy their draft capital, it's Isaac Tesla.
That's deep, baby. Oh, that's deep. I like it. You dug a hole, man. I love that.
What really got me was he was supposed to be at the Senior Bowl. I go to the Senior Bowl. He said he wasn't going to work out. I was very disappointed. I get on the show with John Lobb. We start talking about these deep guys that we're thinking, and I said Tesla, and Lobb lit up and was like, "Oh my God, I love him!" and like went into this like diatribe about how much digging he had done into Tesla's receiving profile, and it just made me feel so good that John Lobb was like right there on the same page with me.
Yeah, Lobb's a good dude, and it's good to feel validated. You know, when you have somebody that knows their stuff and is deep into their Devi bag, and you know they let you know that your process is sound and you're doing the right thing. Dane, how you feeling, and who are you going to be tapping late in drafts? We're in like 4 leagues together, so if you don't want to tell me, you don't have to tell me.
No, it's good. So I think one guy that he's probably climbing up in the rankings. I've been seeing his name quite a bit on X now. I still think that's Jack Beck, older prospect. I like his physicality and I like his IQ. He's not the fastest player, but he just knows how to get open, and he kind of feels like he's more of a pro-ready prospect to me. So that's going to be one guy that I'm going to try and snag, and hopefully he's there in the late 3 or he's in the 4th round for me.
More LSU love. Let's go.
I mean, at this point, I don't think he's going to be late at all. I think I posted something about him.
I think in the roundtable questions, it should have been Jack Besh or Xavier Restrepo.
Yeah, I actually moved things around because that's how much things change. I wrote that on Monday, and we're already like flip-flopping these guys and moving them around in a couple days. It's just because that felt safe on a Sunday night, and then it doesn't feel safe on a Thursday night. So I think a guy that I've been tapping, I actually got him in a startup as a placeholder. I picked in the recent Dynasty startup that we're in, but I'm going Elijah Badger. So Elijah Badger isn't even in sleeper. He's not even in sleeper yet. That's how slept on he is. Like he hasn't been added yet. Wide receiver out of Florida. So he's actually just transferred this year to Florida and took over for Ricky Pearsall. He pretty much jumped in and took his entire role. He's a good route runner. He's got just the ability to get open. He's shifty. He just has good separation. He jumps off the line pretty well. I think he got 700 yards, 3 touchdowns. It's just the way that they used him, they utilized him very well. And he's always had decent production. I think the year before he almost got 900 receiving yards. So he has that consistency going on in his collegiate career. It's not like Jack Beck scares me because it's 1 year. Like these guys, late round guys, you have to be very careful. Like I'm not saying that Beck doesn't have these translatable qualities and these skill set that can succeed in the NFL, but he had one year and he did it when he was 22 years old. So it's just tough for me to trust that, but I think I feel pretty good about Badger late in rookie drafts. He just has that pedigree. He's done it for 3 years in college. So I think I feel pretty safe as far as, these guys. And we're talking about deep guys that aren't even in there. I mean, I don't think Bigz guy, I don't think he's in sleeper. If you're drafting sleeper, it might be an MFL or so, these guys you could go pluck as a placeholder and just say you're getting one of our guys and just get them for free at this point. So
2 quick things about Badger. Number 1, he had a sophomore breakout at Arizona State. Jaden Daniels was his quarterback. He had almost 900 yards and 7 touchdowns. Then he transferred to Florida after his junior year, just for that final season. So his college quarterback was Jaden Daniels. He went to high school at Folsom High School, just up the road from here. His high school quarterback was Jake Browning.
That's wild.
Elijah Badger tidbits. I have him all over the place in C2C and Devi leagues, and I've been waiting for him to come up this year. So I don't have to draft him in a bunch of leagues. He's already coming up for me.
Nice. You want a little interesting tidbit that I learned the other day?
Yeah.
So Trey Harris was a quarterback in high school, and he was a good quarterback, like a very good quarterback in high school. And he only transferred to a wide receiver in college. So his first year at Arizona, or at where the hell did he go? Louisiana Tech. So when he transferred to Louisiana Tech, that's when he became a wide receiver. But do you know who his wide receiver one in high school was?
Jane Daniels.
Malik
Jackson
Neighbors.
Dart.
Malik Neighbors.
Malik Neighbors. Yeah. So he was throwing bombs on Friday nights in high school to Malik Neighbors. That's pretty
All
good.
right. I got one
wild.
more. Okay. Devontae Adams was wide receiver 2 on his East Palo Alto high school team. Who was the wide receiver 1 on that team?
Oh man, it's gonna be some like it's gonna be weird. I want to say like Julian Edelman or something stupid.
It's stupider than that because Edelman was an NFL wide receiver.
Oh shit, then it's gonna be somebody like way off the grid. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of that time period. That's like got to be 2009. I can't. When did Devontae Adams get into the league? 2012, 2013. No, he's been in for 10 years.
I'll just say
2015.
San Francisco Giants legendary outfielder Jock Peterson.
Oh man,
Interesting.
that's awesome. I like that.
Best wide
I like.
receiver on that team.
Yeah, he's got some wheels, man. So that's. But to outproduce Devontae Adams was a late bloomer though.
Yeah.
In general, like he had the best route running ability, but he really didn't like show out until what college did he go to? Where was he? I think he transferred. I can't remember. I don't
know.
I'm just going off the cuff right now. My melting brain that I have.
Yeah.
I got 2 little kids. My brain doesn't work anymore. So I used to have this knowledge. I don't know where it went.
Fresno State with Derek Carr. How did I not remember that?
Fresno State. Yeah. Yeah. Man. Oh yeah. That makes sense. That's why he went over to the Raiders in the first place.
Right. Because they were best friends and roommates.
Yep. That was the whole storyline. Like he's going back to Derek Carr, and then he just Derek Carr got traded like into the 7th week or something, or 8th week of the season.
I need to hand in my Raider Nation identification card just for dropping the ball on that one.
That's awesome.
Boys, plug everything that you have coming up. All the shows. I know you guys are on the news. You're doing. Oh, you're everywhere, so I can't plug you guys. You just tell the people where they can find you and everything that you guys have coming up this week.
All right, I'll start because Bigz started it off earlier. So, you could find us on the Undroppables network. The Dynasty Pulse is airing there on the Undroppables. We each have a show on the Uncovered network, which is, Bigz is doing the Raiders right after this, and I represent the Chiefs. And then we also represent the Fantasy Sports Advice Network. We have a show called the Fantasy Forecast on there, and then also the first premiere of the Dynasty Pulse is aired on the Fantasy Sports Advice Network, and then also on Player Profiler here we do a lot of work on the news desk and for Player Profiler primetime news. So Bigz, anything else to add to that, bud?
Dynasty Stock Market on Player Profiler now on Tuesday mornings West Coast, early afternoon East Coast. Player Profiler today on Fridays with my boy Chev. That's at 4:00 Pacific, and then all of the stuff. Go to @BigBonedFFB on Twitter. Also sign up for Scott Fish Bowl. If you're in Northern California, if you're watching this from Northern California, sign up for the Scott Fish Bowl and indicate you want to go to the Sacramento live draft. I'm coordinating it. It's going to be at the Shady Lady Saloon in Sacramento, and it's going to be a good time. Trying to get to 4 divisions. We had 2 divisions in San Francisco the last 2 years. I'm trying to double that output for all of NorCal and get to 4 divisions this year. So scottfishbowl.com. I want to live draft in Sacramento.
Nice, man. I love that because we're going to be coordinating in Boston, so at Lansdowne Street. So me and Coop, so Coupe Fiasco. So if
you'll be there with Coop and AWL Sabermetrics and all of our Undroppables boys, and
yeah, it's going to be a fun time over there. So if you're in Boston, definitely click that live draft and get in over there. I got to get Dane to come down to Boston for that one. I
got to fly out to Boston.
It'd be a blast, man.
I got to hit the Hawaii live draft. I got to hit the Vegas live draft, and I got to
come out, man. I'd love. Come on, I got a spare bedroom. I'd love to have you guys. You can get bunk beds. We can set that up.
We've already stayed on a bunk bed before. Who do you think had the top bunk? Me or Bigz?
I'm not gonna comment, man. Yeah, I appreciate you guys so much. So Grindberg is at FF Canuck 99, and then we got Bigz at Big Boned FFB.
Correct.
So definitely give those guys a follow if you're not, and go check out their content because they're great dudes. And I appreciate you so much joining us. For Dynasty Degens, we have the rookie profile for Trey Harris dropping tomorrow. And then we have a couple other things on the stove. The Devi show is coming out. And then, man, we got the redraft show starting next week. There's just a lot of stuff happening right now. So, Dane, anything you want to drop before we get out of here?
No, man, my DMs on Twitter are always open. I'm always in the Dynasty Degens Discord and trying to help you out however we can, because like you laid out, Degens is growing in this off season, and we're just going to keep firing on all cylinders.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, guys, for having us on the show. Appreciate a great time.
Thank you guys.
Very much. Yes.
Bigz, Grindberg, you're the best. We'll see you guys next week.
Right back to business as usual. Straight out of what's under my cuticle. I blocked it, they picked up my coffin. Ain't it funny how